I'm Candice.
And I'm Craig.
And we are both passionate South Africans. And we're all concerned right now about the state of the country, and especially when it comes to racism.
Now, there seems to have become an increasing polarization around the whole issue of race. Candice, one of the things that I've become very concerned about is the fact that we tend to, in South Africa, identify ourselves primarily by our race. So I'm white and you're black. As opposed to saying, you know what, that's one of the characteristics of who I am, but it's not the primary one. The most important aspect of who I am is I'm a human being.
And the content.
And the content,
of who you are.
Well, it's the content of your soul. So it's the content of my character. So as opposed to, if I become primarily white, that's my identifying factor, and you're black, already we're in different camps. And I mean, we're not in different camps. We're in the human camp. Someone once said it's simply there's only one race, and that's the human race. There's certain different ethnic groups, but there's one race. And we're part of the same race. And as soon as we start saying, I'm black and you white, we polarize. That's
and we cause division amongst ourselves, and that's what leads to prejudice, stereotyping.
Absolutely.
Because I feel that racism stems from lack of understanding. We fear what we do not understand, and as soon as we put that judgment onto someone, it makes it much easier for us, because as soon as they live up to that, then we say, okay, well, I knew that all black people, all white people are the same. Whereas when you actually decide to immerse yourself in someone else's character and in who they are, then you get to realize that if all of us are the same, we're all driven by the same things. We all want love. We all want to provide. So we all have the same human needs.
100% right. I mean, Martin Luther King's thing, I long for the day when I'm judged by the content of my character as opposed to the color of my skin. I mean, we have to get to that as South Africans. What is the content of our souls and our character, how we behave and who we are? And at least the other thing too, we tend to categorize and say that right is not right and wrong is not wrong. It depends on whether it's black. Exactly. And really, right is right, wrong is wrong, regardless of who did it. I mean, you gave the example of driving about.
Yes. And I mean, you can have a really terrible driver who happens to be black. It does not make all black drivers terrible.
100%.
Or women. It doesn't make all women drivers terrible. It just happens to be you encountered one black woman driver who was terrible. So it's just getting away with the stereotypes and being able to immerse ourselves and say, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance as a human being. And if I like you as a human being, then I will like you as a human being. I won't like you as a white man or a black man.
I'm not going to prejudge who you are.
That's exactly
because that is completely wrong. I think the other thing we need to discuss is the whole thing of empathy. I mean, as a man, I cannot know what it is like to have labor pains. I can't, because I'll never go through it. So just the same way as a white guy, I could never fully understand what a young black person felt like in a society growing up rated as a second-rate citizen. I don't have that experience. I can empathize, I can read about it, I can completely embrace it, I can acknowledge it, which I do, but I can't completely get it. And I think it's important for us to have that kind of empathy for each other, but not to define ourselves by the differences, define ourselves more by what we have in common and what we want to build. I mean, we'll never build a nation if we polarize it, will we? If we keep pulling the race card, we're never going to build a nation. If we pull the character card and say, that person's behaving badly, and he happens to be white, or that person's behaving badly and they happen to be black, that's secondary to the whole issue. I mean, a murder is a murder, no matter who does it. A life's a life, no matter whose life is taken. They're all of equal value. I think this is so important for us to get to.
I agree. I think it's so important to acknowledge, to be able to see and acknowledge that, and that comes back to empathy, to be able to see and acknowledge that someone is different to you and that the struggles they face may be because of the identifying factors that society sees. But it is up to us as individuals to change that and to make sure that we aren't judging and we aren't prejudging. And by doing that, we raise a society of kids that don't judge. And the next generation of children won't see people based on race. They'll see them on content. And that's what we're
not born with any kind of prejudice whatsoever.
No.
I mean, it's taught and learned. And we have to abandon it. But then by the same token, never to pull the race card. Never to say, you did that because you're racist. I mean, one of the struggles I have as a white guy in this society is if I call out bad behavior as a white guy and the person behaving badly is a black guy, immediately I'm a racist. And it's got nothing to do with race. I mean, sometimes you have a situation at school where two kids get into a fight. And it's just two kids fighting, The one pissed the other one off and they got into a fight. And yet a person who's got racial glasses will turn that into a racial event. And it's not a racist event, it's just two kids arguing. And I think that's what we need to break out of.
I agree.
Yeah.